is a therapeutic riding program meant for people that are differently able, and it inspires people to realize that they can accomplish things, that anything they really want to do.
And then, who does the riders provide service to?
Just about anybody. I can find pretty much a reason to put anybody on a horse, but it's for people that are differently able, and we're all differently able. You can do things I can't, I can do things you can't, and together we celebrate being together and riding all these wonderful horses.
What basics do you teach people once they get on the horse?
To stay on the horse. I like to keep them on the top of the horse and the horse under them, and the ground on the bottom. So we teach riding skills, and riding is very good for you. The ancient Greeks, 2,000 years ago, used to put fallen soldiers on horses because it releases endorphins, recreates your body, builds your muscles back up, and it was a therapeutic program. They called it hippotherapy. No hippos involved, just horses.
And then moving on to the second one. What requirements do you have on feeding when it comes to horses?
Feeding? Well, we keep them on a very strict diet. We actually just recently changed them to grass hay because some of them were allergic, and we had to give them antihistamines and things, and it developed annulus in their stomach, or rocks. So we're very careful with their feeding because they're like us. What you eat is who you are, and you have to make sure we don't give them a lot of sugar, not too many carrots or apples, and we are very constant about their fed twice a day. We watch this very carefully.
What is the proper way to put on saddles, bridles, reins, leads, having sidewalkers, and cutting away the horses once they get them?
Well, we teach all horse care. About 90% of what you do with a horse is on the ground. It's feeding them, it's caring for the saddles, making sure they fit correctly, making sure that you're not hurting their body when you put the saddle on incorrectly. So we teach basic horse care to everyone. Somebody said not to worry about teaching like the college students that'll only be here for 30 hours, but I try to teach everybody to the best of my knowledge, and I don't mind telling people over and over again how to do things correctly, because I've had people go on to having jobs. I had one young woman that became a mounted police officer in Arizona, and it was everything we taught her, how to deal with horses. So I think everybody should have the best education. We give films for people to watch, and like today we have some people attending a workshop on how to work with horses. So we try to educate everybody, keep our equipment in pristine condition so that nothing breaks, and teach them, because you can hurt a horse if you put a bridle in incorrectly, and we'd never want to hurt anybody. We have a rule here at Star Riders. It's safety, safety, safety. Safety for the riders, safety for the volunteers, and safety for the horses. So everybody has to be trained.
What are their names, their personalities, and how long did they have them for, and where did they come from?
All our horses are donated. We've only got a grant to buy one horse because nobody ever gives me a young short horse. They give me tall horses. And they many different names. You're not supposed to change a horse's name. It's supposed to be bad luck, but sometimes I get a horse and I don't think I should keep the name they had. We try to make it a better, but we're given horses of all ages and abilities. We just had one that passed at the ranch that was a 8-foot jumping horse with double bit of dressage that was flown to Europe to compete. And somebody put him in a small concrete stall and neglected to feed him, and he blew his leg up, and he could never compete again. So he was given to us, but we had to rehabilitate him for 2 years before we could use him. But he was the most amazing horse, and he knew much more about being a good horse than the rest of us knew. He knew things we didn't know, but he made a great Star Rider horse.
How did he blew up his leg?
He pounded his leg against a concrete stall and broke it and crunched the muscle. So it took a while to heal. No horse, no hoof. That's what they say.
How were the horses, or why were the horses brought into the program?
Well, all of them have been given to me. Ray and I did buy a few in the beginning. In the old days, your mortgage company used to send you checks that you could buy things and put it against your house. So we bought the first horses for this program with checks like that. Yeah, but most of the time people donate horses, and we actually get nice young horses now. We were always given 30-year-old broken horses before, and we took them because we learned them all. Yeah.
How young were the horses when you took them?
Ray, the youngest horse we ever got was Hocus Pocus, who was a Norwegian Fjord, and he was only a year old, but since he was born in November and we bought him in January, he was considered a 2-year-old, but he was just a baby when we got him. So you don't start training a horse until they're 2 or 3. So he's now, we've been doing this 22 years, so he's about 20 now, and he's finally got smart. No. He's a good boy now. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess those are all of the questions that
That's all the questions?
Yeah.
Don't you want to know how I started the program?
If you want to tell us that.
Okay. I have 3 children, and when I had my 3rd child, she had a rare disorder called tuberous sclerosis, and there were multiple tumors made of calcium in her body. And she had one in her brain, and I was told when she was 3 months old that she would never walk or talk, and she spent the rest of her life banging her head on an institution floor. And I thought, where would you go with that piece of information? So she was a beautiful child, and she had like 10 or 20 seizures a day. But when she was about almost 3, I said to Ray, we used to ride horses when we were dating. I said, let's go put her on a horse. Let's go do something with her because we're doing everything with boys. And we rented a 30-year-old toothless Arab down on River Road. Ray led the horse, and I held Christine on, and she loved it, and she laughed, and she giggled, and she petted the horse, and she was so happy. We walked up and down the river there. So we took her back the next week to make her happy. And so we got her, and I used to chew the apples and the carrots for the horse because they had no teeth. And she loved it even more the next week. And she just was so bouncy and smiley. The 3rd week, we took her back, and she just, the whole thing, you could tell she wanted to move and do things, and she started walking that next week. And I called the doctor up in the infant program she was in, and I said, you told me she'd never walk or talk. And they go, oh, must have been all that therapy we did. And I said, you didn't do it. I said, but I put her on a horse. So I went, the internet was brand new. You probably don't believe this, but this was about 4 years ago. And I bought one of those $5,000 computers, and I started researching hippotherapy and all the things, and I found out that it was so good for the vestibular action. It built all the muscles around your spine, and it made people that didn't walk. And like I said, the Greeks and the Romans did it 2,000 years ago. So I looked everywhere to find a place I could get her on a horse on a regular basis, and I found a little Christian school in Salinas that gave their girls horses instead of boys. So this girl started giving her lessons, and she rode these horses, and she just loved it. And she walked, she talked, she sang, she wanted to be an actress, and she was an amazing kid. And cancer took her 20 years ago. And at the time she was had cancer therapy, a lady here at the equestrian center, we came out and we became part of their program. She gave Christine her horse, Eminem, an old quarter horse, rodeo quarter horse, and that horse loved her, and she loved that horse, and she lived 6 months longer than the doctors thought she would. And She went on, when she passed, I bought that horse from the lady because I thought that wasn't right of me to keep a horse after Christine wasn't here. And we started the program with that horse and 2 others. And that was 22 years ago. And we've been doing it. And we are a nonprofit. We don't charge people. I didn't want anybody to not come because they couldn't afford it. I know my daughter wouldn't want that. She would want everybody to be here. And this turned into a really wonderful organization. We use the college. They get college credit for working with us. Doctors and lawyers, doctors send people over. We don't advertise. And other families bring families. And that's how we do it for the last 20. And we have a veterans program. On Wednesdays, we work with veterans that have PTSD or a physical problem. And it's a lot of fun. And we do have about 30 horses now. I've got 9 here and 21 at home. Any other questions?
Yes, one more. Where was the cancer located at when she got it?
It was actually colon cancer.
Oh.
Very rare in somebody young. But it had nothing to do, she had brain surgery and her brain had to be open for 19 days to drain all the fluid out. And then she was still sick and what they found out that it was colon cancer. But we didn't know that Ray's family carries the colon cancer gene. And that's what happened. But who knew that? Because that's something people have only learned in the last 10 or 20 years about genes in people's bodies. So it came down through his family. And that's Ray got colon cancer also. So we saved him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was it located? Was it in the brain and the lungs?
No, her brain, no, there was no tumor in the brain. It was a big tumor, but it was not cancer.
Oh.
But in her stomach, in her colon, that's why they had to give her an ostomy. She suffered a lot. And yeah, she was a brave soldier. My boys, I don't know if you met them just now when they were here, but they said she raised the bar for all of us. She just was such a brave girl. And really, people came to me after she passed and said, let's name this after Christine and keep on going. So that's why we're here. It's Christine Marie's Star Riders. I'm sure she's sitting in heaven just laughing at all of us because she keeps Ray and I, because we've got 20-something more horses at home.
Yeah.
And we've got a ranch to take care of, so we're doing a lot all the time. So, yeah. And it's been wonderful having you as first a student and then one of the heads of my teenage program.
Yeah.
You've done an amazing job volunteering.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And you're a pleasure to be around.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think that was all.
Okay.
So,
all right. Thank you for the interview.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Bye.
How do we do, Mom?